Hollywood shock. Dakota Johnson reveals painful betrayal from Jamie Dornan. Dakota remembered the first time she met Jamie Dornan. It was an awards ceremony somewhere, flashlights blaring, paparazzi screaming their names. Dakota felt like she was in a movie. She was wearing a light, navy blue silk dress, her hair loose, her eyes filled with joy and excitement. Jamie Dornan walked up, his smile opening like a friendly greeting, his eyes welcoming and warm. "You're beautiful," Jamie said, and his voice rang softly in Dakota's ears, as if the world were just the two of them. Dakota remembered that she had given Jamie more than just a smile, more than just romantic dates in fancy restaurants, more than just all-nighters talking about art, about movies, about each of their dreams. She had given him a piece of her heart, a piece of her soul. She had believed that love was giving everything, even when you didn't know what you'd get back. She forgot where she was, putting aside small roles to accommodate Jamie's schedule, leaving behind close friends, missing parties she should have been having fun at, doing nothing but worrying about whether Jamie liked her, whether he missed her, whether he needed her. Late-night promises and kisses. In the split penthouse overlooking Beverly Hills, Jamie would sit on the balcony every night, the moonlight softly reflecting off the pool below. Dakota remembered him saying, "You are the most important person to me." Dakota believed him. She thought, for the first time, a man would not only say it but actually mean it. Jamie promised her a future. Long trips, homes in different cities, joint film initiatives, even living together in a small town when they tired of the city's glamour. Dakota remembered the promise he made in the rainy night, the rain drizzling like a child waking her up in the middle of the night. "You know, when you wake up, I want to see you by my side. Not just today, not just this week, but every day to come." Dakota smiled, tears rolling down her face. She wanted to believe, and she did, as the darkness crept in. Time passed, weeks became months. There were days when Dakota woke up alone, poured coffee into a cup and listened silently to the sound of footsteps that didn't come. She asked, why didn't Jamie text? Why couldn't he arrange an evening just for the two of them during the week? Why was he so often absent when she needed a shoulder to lean on? And then Dakota began to feel tired when every time she called, he made excuses that he was busy, or tired, or had to go on a business trip. Romantic dinners became rare, deep conversations about themselves became brief, hugs became reluctant. One night, Dakota couldn't sleep. She looked out the window, Los Angeles stretched out in the lights, far away. She remembered the last time Jamie told her he wanted to look out over the city from the top of the hill, that they would design a small garden on the penthouse terrace, plant lavender, plant rosemary, watch the sunrise together every morning. But instead, every morning Dakota only saw his silhouette disappear into the dawn mist, the car parked hurriedly outside, headlights gliding like a temporary end. Silence and doubtful hearts. Dakota began to wonder, had she loved too much? Had she given too much without asking enough from Jamie? She wanted him to understand her, but he seemed to only partially listen, only in his spare moments, when the flashbulbs stopped, when the paparazzi weren't around, when the world seemed to allow. She had told him, "Jamie, I need you." In response, he smiled, stroked her hair, said he did too, but Dakota's heart no longer heard clearly. There was something missing in those words. There was a big gap between words and actions. One time, Dakota happened to look at Jamie's phone while he was sleeping. She saw messages with someone else, not a friend, but the tone was too intimate, pictures, sweet words that she thought were meant for her. Dakota wanted to believe in his innocence, wanted to believe in his words, "You are the most important." But her heart began to crack with doubt. The truth reveals, it was a Sunday afternoon, the soft sunlight filtered through the curtains. Jamie said he had to leave, an urgent business trip, an important meeting abroad. Dakota looked at him, her eyes sunken from lack of sleep, her lips trembling. Will it be long this time? She asked. Jamie looked at her, put his hand on her shoulder for a few seconds, then withdrew. Maybe a few days. I understand. Dakota cried silently inside. She understood, but she still wanted to believe. When Jamie left, Dakota stayed home. The silence seemed to swallow all the sounds. She scrolled through social media, accidentally seeing a picture of Jamie in a cafe with another woman, not just as a colleague. They talked, laughed together. The other woman's eyes looked at Jamie as if she wanted to say more than just a normal thing. Dakota felt her heart suffocate. The pain spread. She called Jamie. He apologized, saying that the woman was just a work friend, but his eyes did not linger. Dakota wanted to believe, but her heart was tired of the words, just, friend, work. Bitter sharing. Finally, a rainy afternoon. Raindrops drew circles on the glass door. Dakota turned on the camera in the living room. She wore a soft gray sweater, her hair tied loosely, her face thin, her eyes red. In front of the camera, she said, her voice trembling, I gave everything to Jamie. I believed that love was enough to keep him, to make him appreciate me. I gave time, patience, trust. Everything he said was mine. But in return, I received only pain. She talked about the days when she sacrificed her role to follow his schedule, to arrange her life to fit his work, to postpone the trips she wanted to wait for him to come back. She told of broken promises, cancelled trips, late-night conversations that left her alone. She told of isolation, how she sometimes felt like a shadow in Jamie's life, a shadow who knew how to love but wasn't loved enough to feel alive. She said, you said I was the most important thing. But when you were absent, when you were silent, when you left me standing in the middle of nowhere without knowing where I was in your heart, you said the opposite. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She looked up, her eyes focused on the camera, as if to send someone a strong message. Love shouldn't be where people have to ask you if you're worth it. The pain that renews me. Dakota doesn't expect sympathy from the world. She doesn't want people to be complicit in her sadness. She just wants to admit that, once upon a time, she believed, once upon a time, she gave without holding back. After the sharing, she was in silence for a while. There were nights when she lay awake, imagining Jamie replying, begging, saying it was all a misunderstanding, saying she was the only one, saying he would make things right. But he never finished his words or did the things she expected. She started walking along Venice Beach at dawn. The waves crashed against the shore, the salty wind blew through her hair. She bought a small notebook, wrote a lot, wrote about missing, wrote about the weather, wrote about the unsaid words, the words she had held back so as not to torment him, to still keep a beautiful image in his eyes and in hers. She began to realize one thing, giving everything to others does not mean losing her own value. She realized that she could still choose, could still love without completely losing herself. She realized that this pain, though deep, was also a part of the motivation for her to look back at herself, to learn to love herself before loving others.